welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have an interesting stranger on every single week. And today we have
Oliver Hunt.
How are you doing?
It's early. I'm doing good.
It is early. And so what would people know you for, do you think?
Well, I operate a food truck here in Milwaukee called Hidden Kitchen MKE.
Yep.
And I suppose that will be the way people will know me here in Milwaukee.
And when did that start? When did you start that?
So the food truck started about 2016.
Okay.
And it focused mostly on doing just catering.
Sure.
Private events. And then when I kind of quit my full-time job, then I just felt like I can focus full-time on the food truck.
Yeah. And so why did you decide to start a food truck here?
A couple of reasons. So the fact of financially, I couldn't really maybe go down the deep end of opening up a brick and mortar establishment. So the flexibility of the food truck really. So if everything kind of went south, I could still park it. It wouldn't really cost me anything.
Sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, me being the operator, chef, and, driver and all that, it just kind of gives you that sense of security that it doesn't really cost you money if it's standing still.
Yeah.
So that's probably why. And also I like the flexibility of it, the mobility, going to different locations, trying out different things.
Yeah. And I mean, based on your accent, people will surmise that you're not, from here. You from England, right?
From England. I'm half English, half Swedish, and people think I'm from Australia.
Really?
It's kind of
really
most people get the accent wrong, but I've been abroad for so long that my accent is tarnished, so I can give them that.
How long have you been abroad away from England?
Well, I actually moved away from England when I was 15. I moved to Stockholm, Sweden to live with my mom.
Okay.
And then I spent about 15 years there, but I've been traveling quite extensively throughout my 20s. And then I've been in the US now for 10 years this Christmas.
Wow.
It's the longest time I've been in one spot ever.
Are you getting I got to go somewhere else now? Or are you okay here?
No, I've finally actually tied myself down here. I purchased a house a couple of months ago. So I think all my friends back home were like, oh my God, what is he doing? Is he finally settling down? Is he not moving? Because they're usually just used to me just
moving all over the place.
Moving along all over the place. And you do get this itch. You really do. But now that I'm reaching the 4th floor, I think it's time to...
Time to stay.
Time to stay and, kind of grow up a bit. I'll give my mum some peace of mind too, I suppose.
Yeah. You won't have a new address in another 2 years.
I tell you what, I mean, I was at the bank the other day and I mean, I think they had like 4 different addresses and I needed to order new checks or something. And I'm like, no, that's old. And then they took up another address. And I'm like, no, that's not the one either. So now it's going to be nice to just have one spot. So
I guess the backstory, you're a chef.
Yes.
You went to culinary school in
Stockholm. Right.
And so when you went there, what was your aspiration sort of coming out of culinary school? What did you want to do?
Oh, crikey. Culinary school, I guess. I mean, for all those people out there listening, at the time, it's a piece of paper, really. I mean, you go there and you're drinking Miller Lite and you get out of there and you're drinking bourbon straight out of the bottle, really. It's just a piss up, I think, for 3 years.
Yeah.
I was working throughout the whole time in my dad's restaurant during culinary school. So for me, I was rocking up 3 hours late. So I didn't really make any friends with my teachers there, but they knew the industry well enough to see that, it's what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say about maybe 10% of the people that I went to culinary school with are still in the industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I'd say you probably learn more working in a nicer or an established restaurant for 3 months than you would in 3 years of culinary school. I mean, there's schools out there that obviously emphasize and in very different levels of cuisine and gastronomy, but it's at that time in that place, it's good that you had it, but at the same time, you're green.
Right.
You don't go into a restaurant saying, "Oh, I've got a culinary degree."
Look at my paper.
Oh, sure, yeah. Do you want to run the line here? We'll just sit back and see how things go. No, you probably doesn't do you any favors because you think that you know what you're doing, but you have no idea.
So why did you end up going?
Well, for one, in Sweden, it's a little bit differently. You're done with high school in Sweden when you're 16, and then kind of college, or it's like a trade school. So that 16 to 19 is where they kind of decide where you are going to take your path in this golden socialistic environment.
Yeah.
So they want you to see, oh, well, you want to be a builder, okay, and then they'll throw you there, and then you'll do like you focus on building, and, or if you want to be a welder, and then if you want to do something that's more academic, then it will be more kind of like a extension to your, I guess, high school education. It will be more involved in in literature and whatnot. But so that's kind of how things are directed there.
Okay. And so you said you worked at your dad's restaurant. So is your family sort of in that? Is that why you wanted to go to culinary school? Because you were in that sort of environment?
Well, it's pretty much the only school I can get into, really. Oh, really? No, it felt easy for me. I'm going to say it kind of sounds a bit lazy, but it was natural for me to do it. I didn't really have to try very hard there. Okay. So for me, and also I was working at that time anyway. So
what was your dad's restaurant?
It was in Stockholm, and he owned a couple, and it was focused mostly on French cuisine.
Okay.
And I mean, he had some great Swedish chefs work there as well, and it was cool when being a teenager, being around younger chefs. I mean, even then it wasn't they didn't have the status as they have now, chefs, where they're all kind of like rock stars. But even then, it was kind of like being in a sex, drugs, and rock environment, even though you're in a kitchen, and being 16, 17. It was cool. Yeah.
Is that sort of what like made you want to be in that industry? Is that experience?
I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't say that.
No.
I wasn't like drawn to that whole. I mean, don't get me wrong here. It was it was interesting.
Yeah.
Being a teenage boy, hanging out with 20-some-year-old chefs and thinking that it was all good. But no, it was more to just soak everything up really and just be a part of it, and it was work. It wasn't just like some kind of a rave going on back there every night.
We didn't do anything. We never cooked.
It was more, when the rush, I guess, of service, if anything, that got me really kind of sucked in. I mean, just the fact of when you're in a restaurant and, until some people I think probably never experienced being on a pass in a kitchen, but you don't really understand like the orchestra that's going on behind the scenes of putting so many elements together, especially in in larger kitchens, and it's very intense at the time. And also, I mean, there is no time to look. You can't look back, in a normal job, you might have like a Friday meeting saying, oh, what did we do wrong on Monday? You have to kind of eliminate anything that's going wrong at that point of time.
Right. And
you can't really hold grudges either. So you can't, leave work and, think that, oh my God, my boss has treated me so bad today. I mean, what am I doing? You get that all the time, but at the same time, once everything's done and if it went well, then it's great and it's awesome. And then you drink 5 pints of beer afterwards.
So what led you to coming here to the US?
So that's a long story. I started off in the Twin Cities.
Okay. Working in food too?
No. So that was a little different. It was like right 2008. So it was a rough time to relocate myself. I was seeing somebody actually from Milwaukee, but living in the Twin Cities. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I just kind of had to do anything that was available to me.
What'd you do in the Twin Cities?
I was cooking, obviously. I was shoveling the snow.
Oh, really?
Anything that was available to me to make money. But it wasn't hard. My paperwork wasn't quite in order then either. So it was a hard time. And then also, living in Stockholm at the time, I was pretty established there in the restaurant industry. So... But I needed a change for one.
Yeah.
I felt like I was treading water there a bit. Oh my God, did I get a change moving to the Twin Cities for sure.
Yeah. And so from the Twin Cities, and then did you move here to Milwaukee?
Yes.
Okay.
So an acquaintance of mine, or acquaintance of my ex-girlfriend, she went to high school with somebody that opened up a restaurant here. I kind of wanted out of the cities. I never really got established there. And it was also, I think the fact of being broke all the time and working
that probably added to
working all God's given hours.
Yeah.
I just felt like, I don't know, it's just for me, it just didn't feel like I got a connection with the city, which is weird because I usually always find, you know, the beauty in every place that I go to.
Yeah.
But I came down to Milwaukee and for, you know, for the holidays and stuff like that with her family. And then I got introduced to this chap. And it just kind of felt good. You know, it was like they took an interest in me more than I think in the cities. It was just like, yeah, whatever. But
keep it moving.
Keep moving, you know what. And then, and then I came down here and I helped them open up an establishment. It went south before they even opened up the doors. They spent all the money. They didn't have any capital left. But anyways, that's 80% of the industry, I guess. So, but I met very, very, very dear people, and they're very good friends of mine to this day. And I just felt like since I set foot in Milwaukee, people who generally have an interest, you know, in helping people that have an interest in Milwaukee.
Right.
So that to me, it felt, I mean, like a small town, but even though you're in the city, and I grew up in cities, so usually, you know, people will just show you the middle finger in the door. And, you know, if you haven't got anything to bring to the table, you're not really any interest to them.
Yeah.
So Milwaukee gave me an opportunity, and by gosh, I'm trying my best to take the most of it. Yeah,
because when you started the food truck, was there a specific, in the catering business, was there a specific like idea of what you wanted to do, or did you kind of find your footing as you did it?
I think as a chef, or I mean, we're always kind of evolving. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, obviously, you know, there's very established chefs in the world, and you can always change.
Yeah.
There isn't, I mean, when you're doing numbers are numbers, and, you know, and that's just kind of how things are, but we can switch, and we can be dynamic. And it's what I love about cooking, and even more about the food truck. It's like I can take it to an area that I can kind of cater to that environment.
Sure.
Now, that being said, you know, I enjoy cooking certain types of food. I mean, I'm not all about taking it to some spots and doing something that I'm not really comfortable with.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you can kind of move around, and the food truck it suits my personality really. And even though that I'm living and I'm based in Milwaukee now, I still have this possibility to move around.
Yeah.
Which a lot of, young chefs, and or any chefs really, it's nice, you know. I mean, when you get to a point where you can work at other people's restaurants, even just for a weekend or a week, or you know, and when you're developing, it's good to have 2 or 3 different kitchen jobs to learn other things. I mean, you can learn anything from anybody in this industry. There is no limit really. I mean, it can be anybody that just, you know, starts off doing dishes, and you can come up to me and he's like, you know what, maybe if you did this might be a little bit better. It could be anything, you know. It doesn't have to be based on food. I mean, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have to keep that open mind.
Is it like that in the industry as a whole? Like, is it more collaborative and people are more open to sort of?
It depends on your environment. It can be, it can be a bit of both.
Yeah.
When things are working, and you know, and it's
everyone's
nice.
happy.
Happy might be
a strong word.
A strong word for it. When everything's working and everything's clicking, and you know, and I would say, you know, good. It promotes your food. So I mean, anybody that is doing is in a right state of mind. I mean, if anything, if you're doing any craft, really, if you feel good and you're in a good state of mind, then that really projects on your work.
Yeah.
If you're pissed off at the world, you know, then that's kind of toxic. I mean, it can be anything from when you're standing in a kitchen with, I mean, if it's 3 or 15 people, you know, it's if one, you know, little spoke kind of breaks, then everybody has to kind of pick up that slack. And then it can kind of get a little bit bent. But
so what have been your best and worst kitchen experiences from working? Where was your favorite place to work before you have done what you're doing now?
Well, I don't know. I would say maybe in Scotland, in the Highlands, I would say that was probably the most interesting place that I worked.
Where'd you work there?
I worked in a small village called in Nairn, at a hotel called the Claymore House Hotel.
Okay.
I was fresh out of school, English or part English in Scotland for one, so I was already with one foot in the grave, I guess you could say. Luckily, my head chef there was a huge Celtic fan, and at that time, Henrik Larsson was a striker for Celtic, and he is basically a god
Okay.
in that side of Glasgow.
Right.
But that was kind of like a huge awakening for me. For one, it was out of my, I've located myself to this remote little town, middle of nowhere in Scotland, and the head chef was super old school. Like, he was just no bullshit.
Yeah.
And for me, that was probably the toughest thing that I've done in the kitchen, but also I'd say I'm so grateful for it. So it was like the worst, and when you look back at it,
sure,
it was probably the best.
What was bad about it? Like, what was the worst part of it?
Oh, he just made me do all the rubbish prep. I mean,
really?
In England we have this thing called mince pies that we make at Christmas time, which is basically like sultans and raisins in a little pie crust. And he wanted to make mini mince pies, which will probably be the size of a silver dollar, I guess.
Okay.
And I had to make 5,000 of them.
What?
And because it was like a complimentary,
sure.
whatever. There'd be a pile of them anywhere in the hotel. You'll see mince pies in December. And when you think about it, maybe now you'll be like, okay, 5,000 mince pies you can. But at that time, at like 20, I'm like,
right,
what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah.
What? I'm going to be doing this until next Christmas. I was thinking. So, and then after that, turkeys. Crikey. So. Most of all the produce there was local. I mean, the only thing that actually that was that got kind of shipped in was like citrus fruits and stuff like that. So fishermen brought salmon in, they brought pheasants in. I mean, everything was, there was a knock on the door. We had sheds hanging. We had a shed in the back where the pheasants were hanging. It was intense. Did I appreciate it then? No. Now I would like say this is awesome, and this is all kind of pre this whole like local phase kind of thing that was going on, but. And then turkeys, and then I had to take out all the tendons in the turkey thighs, and that was probably the most ball-breaking job I've ever done.
How do you even do that?
It's knife work, but at the time, and then also we're talking about when you go to culinary school, you're not cleaning 15 turkeys every other hour or something like that. It's everybody gets a slab of meat, and then it takes you 5 hours to take maybe 6 tendons out. I don't know. This is intense. So he made me take all the tendons out the thigh, the dark meat, which is a lot of tendons. I mean, they were big birds. Then butterfly the breast meat, which was easy enough, and then we kind of stuffed the dark meat, and then we netted it up. So when you cut it, you had the white meat on the outside and the dark meat on the inside. But it was, we were going through maybe 10 turkeys a day.
Whoa.
So that was like 2 weeks of cleaning turkeys.
Yeah.
And, and just like cutting them up. But I tell you what, it's all, at that time you hate him.
Sure.
But now it's like, you look at it and it's like, that's some of the best things that probably happened to me, I guess. So I would take that memory because I was out of the family. I wasn't in my comfort zone, and here I am, and this young, English/Swedish kid in Scotland dealing with, God, his name was Jim. I've never seen anybody drink scotch like that either. Oh,
just all the time.
Oh, it wasn't all the time. I mean, he could drink a bottle of scotch like somebody would finish like a can of Coke. I mean, it was...
That's impressive.
And then you're just like, I'm off. It just felt like he walked into the dust and just disappeared. And then there he was, the first thing in the morning, you'll see him there and you're like, God, is this person really human?
I can't believe, so what do you think led you to accepting that job and like going out of your comfort zone like that?
I needed as the itch probably, but I just needed to find my own way, I think. And at that time, it was probably the most, and this is, the internet was around, but it wasn't like it is now. So if you found, I'm trying to think of the name of the magazine that it was in. It was, anyways, but the finding things then is a little different than it is now. So once you found it, it wasn't like
latched on.
You don't shop around and have like, or whatever they do now, ghosting or whatever it's called. But no, you found it, and then it was like that's it, and and you just pin that on your wall, and you look in your atlas, and you're like, okay,
how do I get there?
And it was a bus ride from London all the way up there. I think the bus left at 6 a.m. and I got there like at 10 p.m. or something. I had to get picked up at Inverness because the bus didn't go to Nan. So
wow. Like how remote was this town? Like how many people were in this town? How long were you there, first of all?
I was there for 6 months.
Okay.
So it was like a season, like the kind of like a fall, Christmas. And then it was small. It was small.
Did you like living in that sort of environment where it was that small?
It was different for me. I mean, like one local pub really. So that was, and then, you know, you walk in there and the kind of like the record scratches and people are like looking at you and, you know, Scottish people and especially up there, they're pretty built, you know, and I was pretty tiny.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just sat in the corner there, didn't really make any eye contact, drank my Guinness and, you know, and I remember this situation that was going on kind of in the pub there, and these two chaps were having a go at each other. And then they walked outside. And I'm like, all right, okay, you know, and they just and then came back in, look a bit scruffed up. I mean, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like they looked like they've been killing each other, but they've you know, they've exchanged a few words and probably you know, some other things as well. But it was like, oh, you're right, you know, you're totally right. Yeah, I'll buy you a pint. And it was like, okay, and I'm just like, all right, okay. Yeah. It's just I'm not going to disagree with anybody. Everybody's right except me. So
do they not like English people in Scotland?
Oh, God, nobody likes English people.
Really?
The whole Commonwealth hates us. Yeah, it's Scotland, no. Yeah, the Irish, no.
Why is that a thing? I didn't even know that was
probably because we pissed off a lot of people during the English. Well, I mean, during the history of England, really. I guess. Yeah. I mean, crikey, you can't. Yeah, Australians hate us. New Zealanders hate us. The Welsh, the Scots.
So when you were growing up, then when you went to these places, did you try to like hide your accent, or did you just not care?
I couldn't. I'm poor at hiding things like that.
Yeah,
it wouldn't even work.
Yeah,
I'll probably just be quiet,
just not talk.
Yeah, my dad was a fan of saying you should be seen and not heard, and I'm like, okay. So I had years of training. Yeah,
up to that point.
Up to that point.
Yeah.
Right.
So does your dad? Is he still in Sweden working?
No. So my biological father, God bless him, he passed away in 2007. But my stepdad is the one I'm talking about right now, and he's been around since I was 5. He's retired now in northern Italy.
Oh, that's a nice place to retire.
Oh yeah, he's doing great, and he helps out a culinary school in Estland. So he goes there quite a bit, and then they send down some students down to his house in Italy, and I mean, he's still involved with food, but just obviously not in a restaurant anymore.
Has that ever been an idea that you would want to do, like teach or like do any of that stuff?
It's never crossed my mind. No. I mean, I feel like when you're a chef, and especially when you're on your own business now, I think you're teaching all the goddamn time.
Yeah, that's true.
It's easier sometimes to have people that know less and kind of mold them the way that you feel like. Because
that could be helpful for you.
Yeah, but would I be a teacher in a culinary school?
Yeah.
I think that will probably push me over the line. I think that would be.
What about it? Just
imagine thinking, because obviously, I don't know. It's who knows. Now it might be different, but just the shenanigans that we got up to in culinary school. Sure. Yeah, I praise all my teachers, and they. God bless them. Yeah, they've.
What was something that you did in culinary school? Looking back now, that you're like, oh man, I can't believe that happened.
God, where do I begin?
Because it's 3 years, right? So
3 years. Yeah. And the first year they kind of make you do everything. So it's hotel and restaurant. It's called in Sweden. So you learn how to like do the front of house, the back of house. You learn hospitality like on the hotel side, and then the second year you go either food or like restaurant, or you go front of house. And then it kind of just they file you into these groups, but I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, I would say it was pretty split. With actually no, I think it was like mostly girls. It was mostly women that went to culinary school. It felt like then.
Oh, okay.
But when the first year, and then they all went to front of house. So like in your first year, you were kind of all mixed, and it was like 50-50. And then like the boys went in the kitchen line and the girls went in the front of house, and it was just,
Okay.
and it kind of got diverted like that. So you got used to having, I mean, it's still then at like 18, 19, you're still kind of a dork. I mean, you don't really grow up, do you?
Yeah.
So you're childish, boys don't really grow up until they're 30?
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. So we're still having, water fights in the kitchens, and everything
sure.
there's got like high pressure hoses. So you can hose down.
Really, you can get someone.
You can get someone good. And it was all fun and games. It was a good time. I mean, it's all fun and games when you're the one that's holding the hose, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. Not the one getting drenched.
Right.
Yeah. So when you came here and you decided, like, when did the idea first come for a food truck? Cause you're a corporate chef, right?
I was a corporate chef, for 5 years, believe it or not. And that was a very, very, very huge change in my culinary career, I guess. So,
yeah.
But it gave me the opportunity to do Hidden Kitchen. So it was Monday through Friday, early mornings until early afternoons, and everything else that comes with like a corporate kind of package. So it gave me a sense of security, gave me a sense of freedom, and then also it wasn't really anything creative culinary wise. I mean, it was very more focused on like the nutritional data. So it learned me that. I mean, it was interesting for a short period of time, but
Sure.
I was itching.
So while you were there, you had the idea for this food truck?
Yeah. So it came together with, well, first of all, I just started off doing, kind of like rent-a-chef kind of thing. I went to people's houses and cooked for them.
Oh, okay.
And then a little bit of like small catering gigs, just started to kind of build clientele inventory.
Yeah.
And then I managed to, squirrel away some money, found the truck out in Appleton, and I went up there with my mate Todd and his beaten up old truck. And then we had to haul this like 12,000 pound trailer from Appleton in. It was actually like 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
And it was bad weather. His truck was not built for pulling that thing. It was a nerve-wracking drive back to Milwaukee, that's for sure. So
wait, so what made you like take that leap though? What was like, okay, I have this idea and now I'm going to actually do it? Like, why did you decide to go through with this one?
that's kind of how I am. I get an idea and then I
just go for it?
Go for it. I can think about something for a while, but
Sure.
when I've actually made my mind up, I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could crash on the way back with
You
that
could
trailer.
crash on the way back and then get flattened by your own trailer for sure. But at that time, I had zero experience with any trailers whatsoever.
Yeah.
And especially one that weighed that much. It's basically a big box of stainless steel.
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't think about any consequences of if the brakes would give out.
Right.
Or,
Was it the same trailer you have now?
It's the same trailer I got now, yeah.
So you like did it all up and
I mean, it was built in the
For that.
90s for one.
Yeah.
And the person that built it, he didn't waste any money on it. He never really used it.
wow.
But
So it's in pretty good shape.
oh, it's all stainless steel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nicer than some kitchens that I've been in.
Yeah.
It's nice. And the
so-
only thing I really did was just kind of wrap it and modify a few things.
Yeah. So how did you decide where you wanted to take? Because you said you like cooking certain foods, like you lean towards certain things that you enjoy. So what are those things, first of all?
So I really enjoy cooking seafood and fish. That's what I mean, that's personally what I like to eat most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mean, there's a lot of trucks in Milwaukee that, focus on, I would say, kind of Midwest flair.
Yeah.
And there are some that don't. And I didn't really see any fish, but at the same time, it wouldn't matter if there was another fish truck. I just wanted to do kind of what I want to do anyways.
Right.
And I don't have a set menu on the truck. So if it's something that I feel like I want to do something else, I can. And so it can rotate.
Yeah. So as you started, you said it was about 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Well, the food truck was probably more like 3.5 years ago. Yeah.
And was it like more of a steady growth, or was it like, oh, wow, this is cool, it exists now?
Oh no, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea whatsoever. So I said yes to everything.
Okay.
So first of all, you start a friend of mine, he's a friend now, Jason, puts my website together, and I'm like, okay, cool. And then we, get this email thing on there, and then I'm just staring at my phone for like weeks,
Just
waiting for an email to come up.
Yeah.
And then it was like, hey, we're interested. I'm like, yes, I'll do it, whatever it is. There's 5 of us. I'm like, sure,
Oh, yeah,
okay, I'll
there.
take the truck out there. And then things break, and then this, then the other.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
What's this? What I didn't know what this is. What is broken on my trailer? And
Yeah.
And my first event here in Milwaukee was at Catalano Square. It was called Street Eats. That's operated by Shepherd Express. Yeah, I think I just like broke out like a teenager after that.
Was it just the amount of people that came there?
I couldn't drive a trailer to save my life. And learning how to do that, I mean, there's no, you just have to drive it.
Sure. Yeah.
And then like, oh, sure, just back it in there. And I'm like, back it what? And it's like, yeah, just right there.
Can you get in and do it?
And then I'm like, okay. So, it's like Austin Powers when he's in that hallway.
Sure, he's back and
It's
forth.
just back forward. And and then all these other food trucks are looking at me and it's like, oh my God, who is this guy? And I'm just I could just feel, how you feel when eyes are on you.
You start sweating more.
And sweating more, and I'm getting more and more tunnel vision, and I'm just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Oliver, you're not a driver. You should be in the kitchen. Like, do you need to hire somebody to drive this thing for you? And then I get in the spot, close enough in the spot, and the road should be closed off. I mean, they've closed off this, because there's trucks and everything anyway. I open up my awning, I'm in the trailer, I'm getting things ready, and then I hear this massive crash. And like the whole awning just gets ripped off. Half of it goes into the trailer, it breaks the glass. I basically shit myself.
What?
And this mailman just like took this corner. I think it's Chicago or whatever that road is there, and he just rips everything off. And
Jeez.
and then I'm like standing there, and also there's just glass everywhere.
Yeah.
So and then he comes out and he's looking at me like I'm the idiot, and I'm like, dude, like I was in shock. I couldn't really say anything. I kind of wanted to kill him, and 2, I didn't know what the hell was going on. So I just walked away for a second, and then I think a Milwaukee moment happened. Like all the other food trucks there kind of like gathered around, and they helped me. I mean, they were like, maybe it was a blessing that it happened, but I've always tried to have like a mentality is like what you put into life is what you get out of it. And they really, really helped me. Everyone there was just super, super kind, and and for me that was like oh my gosh, it's not like we're competing against each other. We're helping each other. Yeah. So since that day, I think my Milwaukee food truck family is one of my closest network of friends here, and and it's a grind. It's a grind no matter what you do in this industry, but especially when you're on a road and you get hit by a mailman, and then obviously there was getting that repaired. Yeah. And they're like, well, what kind of history of sales do you have? And I had to deal with this whole like insurance thing. Yeah. And I'm like, this is my first event. I've got 0 history. I've got another event booked in Road America in 3 weeks' time. Yeah. Hopefully I can get it fixed by then. But you know what? If it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
How long did it take to get fixed?
A few weeks.
Yeah. 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 So when you were at were you able to still serve food or no?
I did what I could. Obviously, there were some things that I felt like I had to throw away. And then also I didn't have, so I had to borrow a generator from another food truck. Yeah. So, because the generator that I had just about covered the refrigeration. So I didn't have a hood. The hood wasn't working. Yeah. And everything that I look back to that day and I'm like, how the hell did you get through that day? Yeah. And, it was like, don't get me wrong, there was a period of time where I thought I'm just going to drive this trailer to Lake Michigan and then call it a day. Yeah. But it was challenging. And then obviously I had way too many things on my menu. And that's why to this day I usually keep my menu short. Okay. I'd rather do a few things well than having a bunch of things on there that would just, I'm not to say that it won't be done well. It would just put me in the weeds. It would just make things take more time. And I'd rather just go through something and then be done with it.
So what is people's, because I feel like your food truck is sort of unique, in the foods that you prepare. What are people's like reactions to the food when they get it?
Oh, I mean that's a good question. So obviously, you know, you want a good reaction, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say that I have a huge following, but the people that do follow me are very appreciative and really enjoy it. So for Milwaukee, yeah, it's a good reaction. I really enjoy, you know, feeding the city. I mean, it's definitely a little bit different. I'm not going to be something for everyone, for sure, but it's for the people that do enjoy my cooking. Yeah, it's good. It's nice.
Yeah. Do you have is there any people that you still remember today, that the stories from people that have come to your food truck? Is there anyone that like really sticks out in your mind, like a customer that you had that like?
Yes. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but it was the Milwaukee night market, and I'm usually cooking. So and my girlfriend Mary works the window. She took an order, you know, and then I'm shouting out the names.
Sure.
So it's so I shout out this name. This gentleman comes and picks up the food, and then like half an hour later, you know, same name, whatever, same names is quite common.
Yeah.
And then it's the same guy. And I'm like, oh, welcome back. And he's like, oh, it's so good, so good. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate your business. And then like half an hour later, he's back again. And I'm like, all right, you just need to get in the food truck. I need to take a picture with you.
Yeah.
Like, get in here. And we took a picture, and I'm like, yeah, the third meal's on me. And then like, since then, I'm like, if you order 3 dishes from me, it's on me. The third one's on me. It's like, that's pretty neat. So
that is in one night too.
Yeah. And I talked to some other trucks, and they're like, yeah, he had 5 dishes from me too. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then I didn't feel that special. But at the same time, yeah, I did. I felt special. And good for him having that appetite.
Yeah, that's a lot of food.
Yeah. I mean, he was in good shape too. So must have been some kind of athlete or something. I don't know.
He was preparing for a run tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Run to the bathroom, maybe. I don't know.
So what were you serving? Like, what was he ordering?
So the Milwaukee night market, I up it a little bit. I make the menu a little bit different.
Okay.
So I probably had the lobster roll on there, crab cakes. My taco is always on. That's the one thing that's always on my food truck.
Yeah.
It's like a fan favorite. And could have had calamari on there too. I did like sauteed green beans with calamari and chili.
Yeah.
So big possibility.
Yeah, because I mean, like just even based on, you know, your website and what you offer, like it's very unique, I feel like, what compared to the other food trucks. Like there's a lot of food trucks that serve like pizza and like things that seem, I wouldn't say easier, but like, you know, more food truck. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, more food truck flair.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of why I don't know. It's yeah. You can look at it, I guess, in a way that I went from, you know, running kitchens or working in kitchens. So not to say that, you know, it's any different. It's just that I probably have that mindset that it's still kind of like in a restaurant kind of scenario, but obviously the menu is way smaller. So. And for me, it has to be, you know, taste a certain way and be good, obviously. So
yeah, what do you think you get out of that experience? Like, what do you enjoy most about being out there?
At the time, maybe sometimes you can see that I'm really annoyed. I don't know. When I'm focused, I look pissed off. So
really?
It's yeah. People like, you know, friends won't even come up to the food truck. Like,
are you angry?
Yeah, and sometimes you might be, depending on it. But it's you gotta be happy. As I said, happy chef, good food.
Yeah, is it cooler to have the experience though, where you're more interactive with the people that are getting your food?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's the one thing that I really enjoy about the food truck. It's like that. You know, people coming up to your truck, and I always like to do the same thing when I go out to eat. If there's something that's really good, I like to go to the kitchen, or I like to say, "Hey, this was awesome." You know, this is good, and then working in a kitchen and restaurant, and you know, unless you kind of got like an open kitchen concept and you're sitting right there, you don't really, you know, a server will come in and say, "Oh, table 17, really like the food," and you're like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." But now, you know, when you actually see the guests come up to you and they give you a thumbs up, or you know, it's cool. And you kind of, you know, step back for a second and it's like, oh, shit, you know, I'm kind of making this work, aren't I? And, you know, I'm not to say big-headed, but, you know, you get like, oh, you know, satisfaction out of it.
Right. It's like a community, you know, a community, as you said, of food trucks, but also the people that are coming to these events and eating the food.
Yeah.
So where can people find out more about your business and get you to come?
So obviously the food truck side of things will be when it's warmer outside.
Yep.
So the food truck tour in Milwaukee, or Greater Milwaukee, I should say, is where you can find me publicly in the Milwaukee night market. If there's anything that's kind of organized, like the Rock on Thursdays, that's really it for like food truck events to the public that I do. I don't like park for lunches or anything like that.
Sure.
Unless I've been asked to come down there.
Yeah.
So I guess follow like the food truck tours in Milwaukee or food truck groups or something like that. I mean, we're all pretty much, going in the same direction usually in that time of year.
Yeah. Do you have a website though and things like that and social media?
Social media, Instagram, Facebook, all that jazz.
Is it just, what's your handles on like Instagram and stuff?
Hidden Kitchen MKE.
And your website? Do you know?
Same.
hiddenkitchenmke.com.
Yeah.
And people can contact you there?
Yeah, they can send me an email through there, or they can pick up the phone and give me the call. I'm the one answering the phone, so yeah.
That's cool too. That's nice. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you very much for taking the time and waking up early on a Saturday.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.